Okay, we're good. Okay.
It's the hard part.
Yes, sir. You can
Jumping
keep this
straight
in.
in.
I don't mind. Yeah, this is good for YouTube. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dangerous When Focused podcast. Today, we're joined by Mr. Adam Fogarty, aka...
You're giving out the government names already. Oh my God.
Sheesh. MathMan, am I cool to use your stage name? Your
Of course, absolutely.
Welcome to this show. I suppose we're pretty good with listeners and followers, so make sure you're looking fresh and speaking into the mic is what. Well, obviously you know that. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in. It's been I don't know. Did I ask you a while ago to come onto the episode?
Oh God, yeah. It could be.
Because the season,
it could be like 6, 7 months, 8 months even. Since
just to get it going, or
yeah.
organically coming. It's I don't want to embarrass myself and ask you, have you listened to any episodes?
Oh, I've seen.
But you've seen the clips.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
I haven't
good.
listened to anything in full, but I don't spend too much of my time online or listen to much podcasts anyway. So it's nothing to do with you.
Okay, I know. It's funny because the start of this podcast, I used to plan it out and try and, as we spoke about last night, do a bit of research. But the whole way I think the podcast seems to be working a little bit better is like kind of the Tommy Tiernan approach on the TV show, where he goes, he might know the guests, whereas I do, whether I know them really well or not. I think I'm going to go back to the start just to say when we kind of maybe met each other or how I know of you. And if you don't mind me embarrassing myself, because I wanted to try and remember organically and I just haven't.
Right.
But my remembering of you was in the basement of All City at a gig. Was that you?
Wow.
Or was that not you?
That was.
What was the name of that gig? Or of the collective or the crew?
Yeah, God, we're going back to
12 years ago, is it? So 12 years ago.
2012. Fair play for remembering that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I can remember the artwork, the white and black kind of cartoon. Or
That's right, yeah. The group was called The Animators.
The Animators, because I remember. So shout out, I can't believe I'm saying this, but shout out All City.
I know,
right,
I know.
No, shout out All City. Because it's important to talk about places like that. That was correct. Was that a good boy gig, a gig, or what was the gig I was at?
That was
in the
a
basement?
release party for... I think an EP at the time before the album that we eventually put out like a few years later.
The Animators.
Yeah.
I was on the tip of my tongue. Like I was like losing sleep last night thinking about it.
I have genuinely forgotten all about that. So that's
What?
great. Were you at the gig or were you there when I was setting up or something?
No, I was at the gig because 11 years ago, probably 12, I was probably cutting in the back there, before we officially went live with the official name. And I remember being there and, Record Store Day, Olin would have created this amazing hub. Like I remember DJing there before, forgotten the guy's name again, but he's really cool French DJ lad. I got given lots of gigs there, and you would know every day there would be someone in there, from Derek May. I met Andre 3000 in there, met you there. You know what I mean? Some big names, right?
Yeah. Some bigger names.
Some bigger names. But I don't think you would have remembered me from them. But do you remember our first encounter, or do you remember how we know?
It was
of each
actually
other?
shortly after that. So when you had the two stools upstairs,
wow,
in All City, I came in and Jay cut my hair.
Jay Murray,
so Jay's fades.
Jay's fades.
Yeah. So that was either that year or maybe maybe even like the following year. But it was in and around that time. So it was shortly after that whole thing. So it was like, I was struggling. My man was a hairdresser. So my ma cut my hair for years and years and years and years.
Have I ever cut your hair?
Oh, you have? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought, yeah.
We'll talk about another time you cut my hair very soon at, what was it called? A Forbidden Fruit. At the festival you cut my hair.
What the hell?
Anyway, maybe that's not for talking about.
No, that's exactly what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We had a pop-up shop at Forbidden Fruit.
That's right.
Coming soon, baby.
Yeah,
2025.
Bringing it back. But yeah, it was shortly after. I was looking for somewhere good to get my hair cut.
So was your mom doing it? Then you?
Yeah, for years and years. Because that was our bread and butter. And she would have been, I know she was before, when I went to find a barber elsewhere. She was like, well, do you know what I mean? Cut your hair anymore. What's wrong with my haircuts? So, that transition was always tough. But I was bouncing around a few spots in town. And nowhere was like giving good haircuts, like nowhere.
Really? Were you getting fades or were like
no, there was no fades.
The boys on
Brother,
kind of?
There was no fades at the time.
Do you know, I think there was, but like we don't, like the merchant maybe, but I don't. No one was asking for fades. It wasn't called that.
Yeah,
I think people were just getting them.
Yeah, I was going to some Jamaican lad up in Grafton Street for a while.
What?
Yeah. He was fucking absolutely fucking me head up, like it was brutal. Like I don't know what he was doing. Anyway, long story
sorry
short,
if that said barber is tuned in. You know what I mean? He's like,
it's not personal.
He's like, there's Adam. Oh my god.
yeah.
Shawnee B, I'm a legend, and you're just slating me.
No, he was fucking me head up.
Of course, yeah.
He just couldn't get it right.
Yeah.
But Class Squatch, you know, remember Class Squatch?
Yeah.
Great guy. So Kieran was the artist for the group.
Okay.
At the time.
Was he doing printing then as well?
He was doing all the printing, yeah. And
he's
he's his own artist too.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal artist. So Class Squatch was like, that was one of the reasons that we got All City. Because I was saying to him, look, the epicenter or the hub for hip hop really in Dublin is All City. And if you take a venue, you might say the Sugar Club, because that's where hip hop lived.
Of course, Mark, yeah.
And they were the two spots.
Exactly.
And Olin being is such a cultural curator and supporter, I think it was important for me to have that EP launch there on behalf of the group.
What was your role in the Animators?
I was
a bit of everything?
Yeah, I was the producer.
Yeah.
Songwriter, fucking manager, creative director. I was everything but the rapper, essentially.
Okay.
Which was a trend that continued for the rest of my career, really, because when I involve myself with something, it's 100 miles an hour and it's 200% commitment, covering all the boxes. If there's not enough people there to pull that weight,
is it not to a fault of you, but like to be?
I know it is to a fault.
Yeah, you're trying to. You're literally. Yeah, you're
massive
trying to
burnout from things like that. Massive burnout. Yeah. But anyway, we might get into that. But
Class Squatch, yeah.
Class Squatch, good mate of yours. He was like, well, I managed to get it in All City for you. It's like, great, happy days. So we went down and did the Oak. And
we never talked.
Yeah, we never talked. But he was like, you should go chat to Shawnee.
I think I did Kieran's here because I remember like, and he's about 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
He's a big, lovely human. And he just like, I don't know what he would call me, but how are you fella or something. And like,
he's a great guy. Yeah.
I don't forget the first few quids that came into the pocket back in the day, and we'll get into it again later. Where you're probably thinking, you don't forget when someone supports, buys a record, goes to a gig. It's, you know what I mean? You have to appreciate each and every. So that would have been that time. And then we're all very busy in our own lives, but the Animators project had whatever effect. But to people that mightn't have listened or heard of you, because as we said, the community in Ireland is quite small. I don't know. I presume it's always getting bigger, but I don't want to put you into one category. But to me, All City, because it's going to be an episode about All City, right? And about music and cultural hub. I remember being there because I started to do graffiti. And then Olin did the All City Jams. And then there was Record Store Day. And every the amount of people that have produced and are a product of All City, it's phenomenal. From Dec Lennon, Lorcan Mac, Frank Sweeney. There's probably thousands more people that bought records or spray paint that have come on to be really phenomenally respected, well known. And for you, like, did you used to do a bit of graffiti?
No, it didn't.
Okay, because some people try to say that I was a vandal more than I wouldn't say an artist. But
I wouldn't embarrass myself by saying that.
Well, I was an embarrassment. I got caught and basically I admitted to everything myself. And like, I paid my dues, but I got a criminal record. I got a fine. I had to do Vincent de Paul Community Service. I was all up in the Daily Mail, Star, whatever it was.
Were you actually?
I actually was. Sam can get a little clip and he'll be like, the little picture of me coming out of court, like it's, trust me.
Does everyone know the tag, the name?
Conk.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it.
But I loved the doing it and whatever. But anyway, my outlet was graffiti at the time.
Yeah.
So for you, when it went down to the Animators project, for people that don't know, what kind of would you say your training into music is? Or is it more artsy? Or like, as you said, you did a lot of roles in the Animator. So
yeah.
To not put a label on you, I know you as musical man, right? So I'm just like each and everything that's involved with production, or, you know, a mutual friend of ours, Dec Lennon, was like, man, Fogo was like, he's a genius, like, and he's worked with really well respected producers. So what exactly is your role do you know, or your profession, if you don't mind me asking that?
You're right. I do a lot of things, but I think that the easiest and simplest answer to that is I just think I'm an artist.
Okay.
Really and truly. And whatever kind of manifestation of the art it happens to be at any given time, that's what I am. So whether the art is the physical construction and writing of a song, or the art is the curation and execution of a DJ set, or it's the curation of an
t-shirts.
event. The t-shirts, the vinyl, etc., etc. Art lives in many different forms, but they don't live in isolation. They don't live exclusively. Art tends to feed itself in many different ways, and that's how I would look at myself in terms of the things that I do. You're a
creative.
And the things that I care about, yeah.
So that's funny, because when I talk, I think, again, Dec Lennon, or Crystal Clear, as you might know him, he just released a book. And I'm like, man, people just think you're a DJ. And I'm like, I'm biased. I think he's one of the best DJs in the world. But when I go to his house and I see his thought process, and you see it in his books and in his photographs and his Instagram, which is a creative outlet. It's like the different color sticky pads, the way he had a zine, and it was basically how he sees music. It was color coded how he sees music. Not many people got it, I don't think, because I was like, what is this really? He's like, oh man, it's like my creative vision of music. But his process is like, I'm not just a DJ, I'm not just a producer. He goes, I'm an artist. But I'm like, as you said, it's many different forms. He's an amazing photographer. He can see things differently. He creates his own artwork for the records. And it's like, you are right. You shouldn't be pigeonholed into one thing. And I never thought about it like that just till now. So,
I think a lot of creative people are like that. And I would definitely put you in that space too. Art is not defined by a brushstroke or the spinning of a vinyl or a photograph.
Okay.
Art is defined by how you bring creativity to life. And you'd certainly be in that space. I think Dec is a great example. And a really distilled example from Dec is, I remember his Essential mix.
Oh, I don't know if you remember that. I know the start of it when he recorded the sounds of Connolly Station.
Yeah. Like,
I remember him breaking it down.
Yeah, phenomenal. And then I remember seeing like a mood board and a notebook that he had created in terms of the timeline and the thought process that he had put into it.
It's photographed and it's documented, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, he has.
I don't know where I saw it, but I don't know if
he would have posted it, and it might be photographs of like intro Connolly Station and the thought of he puts the headphones in, and it's literally like Re-Raw, I think, might actually be on it. Yeah. And then Tin Lizzy, and then it's like some jazz music and the sound, and then he timelined his Essential mix. And I remember, and the work he put in, that was a major milestone, I suppose.
I think that is one of the most underrated pieces of work like ever.
Wow.
Like that should be like, top 50 Essential mixes of all time. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
I remember saying it to him, he was like, oh, fuck off.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It's great that we're of an age where we've gone through no social media to social media, and then to have it, because I was thinking to myself, I have a good chance to chat to you over the next hour of like, okay, you got to pay bills. I know you're a massive supporter of the arts. You're the first one to cop merch or a print or probably loads of other things. And I love looking at your stories to get a glimpse of like your home life and like, that's a nice piece there, or is that an Eggs t-shirt or whatever. So you do put back into it. But what is, I suppose, so we kind of figured out not what's your role, but what was your training or your, not even more importantly, your influence to music or to art? And like, was it like your mom being a hairdresser? It's kind of a creative profession. Like, it's if she did color or cuts, you can actually express yourself through the art form of cutting hair or coloring hair. But what was your intro to music? I'd love to know like what your influence of like little baby Adam, was he like?
Baby Adam.
Was he breakdancing around the gaff?
The truth is, yes, he was.
Okay, he was.
In
them Jordans.
I was well known for the worm out in Clondalkin, do you know what I mean? Going to house parties and being asked to do the worm. Badly, I might add, very badly. Certainly, the two like biggest influences from day dot are definitely me man Dad, like hands down, yeah. So I would get all of the creative influence and support from my mom. She was an artist herself. She was a painter. She did crafts, still does. She never was professional, but she was a serious hobbyist. And she would have nurtured that in both myself, my brother and sister. Sister is an artist.
Wow.
Brother is probably the most talented musician in the family, yet he doesn't release music.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like quite a creative family, but all of that was certainly nurtured by my mum. I get all the graft from my dad. Like hands down. So
I think I'm similar. My dad is a chef and he did security and he did outside chef and he worked in the army and stuff. My mom was actually a very hard worker as well, but she used to paint, and all my aunties as a kid, just by having so many kids, she didn't have time, like, you know, but as a hobbyist, she would have painted murals all over family members' walls and houses. And I remember hearing her go, yeah, we are, I suppose, part of our DNA.
Yeah.
But more musically, I would like to know, like, what kind of sounds were you hearing in the gaff? Because are you from Clondalkin? That's where you're born and bred?
Yeah, born and bred. Yeah. So I guess the sound system was always on in the house. Like, no
it was
doubt.
Jumping.
Yeah. But it just depended on who had control of it at any given time. So
where do you fall in the family?
I'm the oldest.
Okay,
yeah, I'm the oldest.
I mean,
Yeah.
So it goes mom, dad, and then Adam is like, "Hey,
move over."
Yeah,
no,
it's time to get the warm.
It was much later. I was able to kind of share my sounds with them. But if it was me dad, it was the Dubliners, it was Tin Lizzy, it was Cat Stevens, etc.,
Okay.
the Beatles. If it was me mom, it was Simply Red.
Oh, yup.
Yeah.
I went to see them, and I'm going to see them next year.
So
September 25th, baby.
I cannot wait.
2025.
Holding back the years for that. Come on.
Yeah, that was the best gig. I went with my mom to that, and it was probably the top 5 gigs of my life.
Yeah.
It was 3 Arena, Simply Red. I think it was, I don't know how many years ago now, but
he's a phenom.
Yeah, she was listening to a bit of Simply Red.
Simply Red, yeah. I mean,
UB40, Fleetwood Mac.
Bob Marley, a lot of that stuff was going on in the house. But the one true love for me from an early age, my mum used to buy me 7 inches.
Can you remember your first piece of music you were bought?
She gave me, it was a Michael Jackson 7 inch. It was, it's from Moonwalker. What was the main song? Annie, are you okay?
Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah.
So that was my first 7 inch. She bought me that, and then just kept buying me records after that. But that was the first 7 inch. But I was playing. I had access to the vinyl in the house long before that. So
the dad be like chicka bro,
wrecking every record in the gap, you know. But I think the most worn out record was hands down Thriller. In the house, for me, definitely. Yeah, hands down.
Well, so that's funny. Similar, my mom gave me a tape, if I'm not mistaken, and the tape, which was double-sided, was, do you remember Brimful of Asher on the 45?
Yeah.
That was
Norman Cook on the remix.
Was it? I don't even know, but the Brimful of Asher. I'm not going to start singing the song, but that was it. And then I remember my mom getting me Prodigy. Maybe The Experience.
Yeah, that would
have been tapes, I think. Or Jilted Generation. What was the name of the album for Prodigy?
Music for the
Jilted Generation. That's interesting because similar times, but for me, musically, I remember I love talking to customers in the barbershop about musical influence, and we always talk about the mom cleaning the house on the Sunday and listening to the bangers, right? Like the 80s and 90s. And it's amazing of how much music can transport you back to a time. But to fast forward to get this into the podcast, from your childhood influences, like, did you ever pick up an instrument? You being the eldest, like, did you try your hand at other little bits? Because through the medium of DJing, I would have known you. I wasn't sure of you as a really, really good producer, but I was like, this guy is a seriously hot DJ. So I remember getting my first set of decks, but I think I played like the milk bottles, you know, different levels of water in them. Or the triangle. I couldn't even master the tin whistle. But like, what was your kind of like introduction to an instrument, and then like into like maybe getting into being a DJ? Because we know the same music from the Abbey Disc days.
Of course.
But I want to build up to that.
Yeah, no, I get you. Well, sadly, I was the same as you pretty much, really. I learned the tin whistle. But that was only because of school.
Yeah, I know.
We had to learn it in school, right? And then that was in primary school. By the time I reached secondary school,
you were like, I'm too cool for this.
Well, not even that. Like the passion for music was always there. But we had a music class in the first year of
secondary school,
and it got shut down after about 6 months. lads were just absolutely
acting the
running amok in the thing. So that was the end of that.
Yeah,
so,
it was just like a free class, basically.
No, that's exactly
Music
what it was.
was not respected. No. Little did they know.
You know. Well, yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins now, baby.
Yeah, if they only knew.
If they only knew.
But yeah, so the Timlis was the end of it, and there was nothing else after that. Nothing else. My mum did play the Bowron. She did it. Not professionally, but you know, she'd just be around the gaff at sessions.
Yeah, and a few spoons.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you'd give that a whack every now and again, you know. But that's as far as I'm. Like even now, I can't play an instrument properly now.
Because that's okay. That's interesting. So do you remember then what sparked? Because for me, for sound, well, I want to know your story. No, like sound wise, where you're like, I don't know. It must have been music of that time because I just remember going. Childhood, Run DMC, it's like that. Mm-hmm. I remember doing a dance in school. I was probably trying to do the worm yourself, right? Yeah. And like, it was kind of like, okay, I don't really remember much, but then getting Prodigy CDs or Prodigy albums on tapes. And I think it was like my stepdad then at the time, he was actually into music. And I remember he had a mixer. I remember the mixer, the old club mixers with the little handles on them.
Yeah, that's right.
But we didn't have two decks. So we had a CD, like a CD that you would listen to, but he actually hooked it up to the deck or to the mixer. And I think he had a crappy vinyl. Like there was not a hope you can mix in these things. Yeah. You know, it was horse thumping. But I remember thinking, oh, this is how a DJ works. And my uncle, who sadly passed away, he was a function DJ. So he would have done all the gigs and 40th and parties and CDs. So I don't really remember. I think in my head,
one of the toughest DJ jobs of all time, by the way. Those functions
CDs
and 24s
and
all that. Like,
you're
up, fuck it.
But I remember of that time thinking like, I can't really get it together. Maybe I was sitting up watching like, not Sex. What's that? What was that TV show like The Villa or the Ibiza?
Oh yeah, Ibiza Uncovered.
Ibiza Uncovered, yeah. No, I was going to say Sex in the City. I like that now, right? But I think I would have seen the videos of Manumission and be like, what is this world? Because I was probably about 10 I was 10 in 1997. Ibiza Uncovered, and I was like, and Fergie and Trey, and it goes, decks. Yeah. Something. So do you remember? And I was like, I wanted decks for my 13th birthday or something. I remember my mom brought me to get them because I would have DJ'd like way more before I'd done anything else. Yeah. So for you, can you remember what you got into that, like CDs, records, or decks?
No, I remember it vividly. And the story is probably not too dissimilar. I was lucky enough to grow up on an estate where there was about 4 or 5 lads that were, I guess, 3 or 4 years older than me. So it was a peer group that, you know, I looked up to at the time. They would have been the lads on the estate that, you know, showed you how to dress right. Yeah. These are the Air Max that you want. You know, don't bother with them, you know, Adidas or whatever. You know, this is the Pringle jumper you want, and that's the Ben Sherman. Do you know what I mean? So
I had them in my auntie's estate.
I think we all had them, you know.
And what were the jackets lads used to wear with the Pringles? They were they North Faces, like the rain jackets?
There was like Nicholson jackets, the bike ones, and then there was
the ones that look similar to like North Face and all.
The Scanda jackets.
Scanda, was it? Yeah.
Well, it'd be Scanda and like loads of like.
But I remember 95s, 501s, Ben Sherman shorts.
Low and that, yeah. Like that was the thing at the time.
And were they? Because it's really interesting to talk about that time about like not drugs, but like I remember my introduction to the lads in the field. Yeah. Smoking joints, having cans. It's very Irish culture, probably worldwide actually, but you go and the lads have a little beatbox and they be listening to maybe mixes from the Temple Theatre.
That's it.
Or something. But yeah, sorry, I keep on interrupting. I'm getting so excited. In my head, I can totally see that era.
Yeah, no, but that's a shared reality and a shared history.
The time was like similar.
Whether I was in Clondalkin or you were in fucking Coolock or Santry or wherever, I mean,
the mean
we
streets.
were all doing the same thing.
The mean streets of Monkstown.
Say no more. Yeah. But we were all doing the same thing, just in maybe slightly different ways. So they were a big influence on me. And I remember at the time, the tape deck, the sound system, you know, we'd be playing ball for 8 hours, you know, fucking tunes would be pumping. And what they used to do is they used to make me tapes and they'd put all the best hip hop on one side and then they put all the best dance music on the other side. Mm. And that was a real education for me to see a world that I was probably a little too young to experience because they were all out raving and doing bits and acting the maggot and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I just became fascinated with that. But I remember one day, I knew the lads were DJs or aspiring DJs themselves.
Yeah.
I'd say there was about 10 of the lads, and maybe 2 or 3 of them took it really seriously. And I remember walking out one day to get out and play football with the rest of them. I was, I'd say, 13, and there was no one out. So went into the gaff, knocked on the door. His mom was at the door. What's the story? And it's like, is Pablo here? Peter was his name.
Oh yeah,
Pablo was his name. Yeah,
classic Clondalkin Irish name, Pablo.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, he's upstairs. I was like, grand. Yeah. So I remember walking up the stairs, and he was in there with a few of the lads. And on the way up, I just hear.
I can totally envision it.
You know, and just open the door, and the fucking just tunes get louder and louder, and he just peek the head around the door, and the lads are just in there fucking, you know, doing whatever. And Peter or Pablo was at the top of the fucking bedroom, and he had a set of Cam.
I had Cam Belt direct drives. Red Dwarfs.
The red ones. They were all direct drive.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
But they were just like, they had a skin cover, or a red skin cover on the top of them.
The silver ones, yeah.
Probably same ones, just a silver dwarf probably at the time. But anyway, he's playing tunes.
My first set of decks.
Back to back, and I just remember sitting there looking, going, what is going on? That was the moment. That was the moment. Like from that moment on, it is as clear as day.
I'd say our bedrooms were similar, or so was everyone's. The decks against the wall. Yeah. With the stubs from tickets.
Oh, of course, everywhere.
I always envisioned myself in the decks playing to the Point Depot, because I remember going to a gig. I think it was God's Kitchen. I don't know if I was 13 or 15, but I was under 16, which was crazy to think about it.
Yeah.
And I remember it was so vivid, and so I know. So that was kind of like that was when you stepped through another world open to you.
That's a great way of putting it. I stepped through a door that changed my life forever.
Wow, it's powerful, because I'd love to talk about so many areas from like 90s, being in the field, listening to the lads, like, you know, fucking playing tunes. Like I remember recording mixes on tapes to so many people who, like Al Gibbs, funnily enough, I remember I went to school with his cousin, but when I was making, do you remember making mixes?
Oh yeah, tapes, and like sell them in school.
Yeah, I remember I'd be in school, and there was a lad, his name was Browner, right? He was so good, and he just never DJ'd again. Darren Brown is his name, right? And he was the cool kid. He DJ'd in like the Ballybrack Disco Hall. But my first gig was in a church group called Bounce, right? A lot of people know
a church room.
A church, like, you know, on a Sunday, like a community room.
Yeah.
But I remember my first record, I know I played Toka's Miracle. I played, I think, Joy Energizer, which is terrible.
Classic.
And I played I can remember I played 6 records for my first gig, and I brought my mates' decks to a community hall in a church in Blackrock. It was called Bounce. And I remember, I don't know how quick I got to wanting to play to people. I think it was like, people, do you want to play my birthday, like 16th?
Yeah.
So, you know, and when I was probably younger, like you, and I was like, yeah. And I started to do what my uncle did, which was, I got a lend of a few CDs that had certain, so I remember you had to go, okay, I have enough music here to play a half an hour. And like, well, you need to play this. Yeah. And no money, and people scrounging. I remember, like, I think the place in Grand Canal Dock, the music sound hire, session hire.
All right, okay.
I don't know what the name of the place, but they would rent out the equipment, the big monitors, and the monster things, but we would plug in to just a mix or a PA.
Carrying everything with you.
Carrying with you. And the career part I chose, I remember all these moments, and like going to a beat at 16, 7 Ben Sherman shirts, right? Kickers, Wallabies. Like I'll go to TK Maxx to get all the cheaper version of all the stuff. And anyway, the career part that I chose, because I was like, I actually asked my mom, can I stay at home and practice to be a DJ? I never told anyone this story. And she was like, no, you can't. Stop acting the bollocks. And I had to get an apprenticeship. So I did an apprenticeship in carpentry. The DJing thing got pushed to the side. It was a dream. And I actually stepped away from that for years. Mm-hmm. But for you, what, like, you don't have to kind of go into too much of like what you did, but like, can you remember how you went from bedroom DJ or buying your first decks to like making money? Or like, you know, how do you bring us up to where it becomes a big part of your life that you're known as an artist, producer, to being like now, you know, very credible artist?
Yeah. It was a long journey. It was a very, very long journey. And then it was quite different then. It wasn't as as easy or as accessible as it is these days.
Not at all.
What's really interesting is at that time, and you would have had this experience too, if you had a passion or a love for DJing or for music production, you had to invest in yourself. You had to purchase or rent the equipment. So if you wanted to set yourself up with even the most basic DJ setup at the time, you're talking £1,000, £1,500 at the time.
Yeah.
And equally for, if you wanted to be a music producer, your investment in yourself in terms of the hardware or the equipment.
You can't even really get that usually. Like, you know what I mean? I know you can never really, I remember the decks I got were secondhand. We drove down to what was the name of the magazine? Oh my God. The Big Issue, not The Big Issue. What's the name? There was a magazine that you used to get.
Buy and Sell.
The Buy and Sell. Now we're going back. And I remember going, I'm coming up to Drogheda to get these decks now, man. Are you sure? And I walked into this lad's bedroom. It was like every other lad's bedroom in fucking Ireland. Like God's Kitchen.
Strobe light in the corner.
Strobe light. We had one of them. You're standing there for hours. And the two decks and the mixer resting on the two turntables. To me, it was like, if you're into cars or watches, it was like, this is all I could think about. Yeah. But
it's the commitment to yourself right?
To get to that, you're like, but then you can't really get good monitors. So you just hook them up into the 5 CD changer.
Exactly, into the little JVC.
The JVC.
And away you go, yeah.
But you get what you can and you make it work. And then you're like, your records, you spend every penny. I remember having to walk home, I think, maybe not from town, that's a lie, but you spend every penny to get that record. Of physically going in and digging. Yeah. Do you remember?
Because that was your currency.
Yeah.
As a DJ.
That's your ammunition against.
That's it.
And that currency, yeah.
Funnily enough, the ammunition, that's where a weapon of choice as a record label is born.
Okay.
Because a DJ is only as good as the records that he has in his collection.
Yeah.
Whether that was back then or even now. And that's why dubplate culture is so alive and well, because everybody wants a record that no one else has.
Okay.
So
it's like the fashion industry, the kicks.
Exactly.
You know what
so
I mean?
Your records were your currency. But the point I was trying to make was that now or these days, it costs people nothing to become a quote unquote DJ because there's, artists or there's DJs out here now playing, 320 YouTube rips. They're not even paying for the music that they're playing at their DJ sets.
I'm guilty. I used to do that when I didn't know. And I'd be in the Workman and I remember sometimes I didn't know, but when BBC Radio would like BBC Radio, where I wouldn't even listen to the end of the tune.
Oh my God.
And in the middle of the Workman, I'd be playing this tune. I'd be like, a YouTube
World
ripper.
exclusive.
You said, any Mac. And you're like,
pull that up quick. Yeah.
Because you really wanted the tune for that night.
That's it. Yeah. So it's kind of democratized the ability to DJ now because everybody can now do it and it's really accessible.
It's fast track. I think that's how the world is going. It's, you see these stars and you're like, I made a tune and I can DJ and you can do it and you can sync it and you can do all this. I love the credible mixing two records together by ear, not quite the Sunil Sharp driving the pitch up, but the joy of mixing two records or making a mix and having it, sending it out to the Colleens in school, or more so for the lads to be like, boys, what do you think of this hard house pumper of a mix?
Absolutely.
And you're like, that's flawless. So we all know, what it's like when you make that mix and you plan. I remember planning out the mix 10 records.
Oh, you would, yeah.
And that was our essential mix.
I still do that now, honestly.
Of course, I see you. It's like it's like you have your piles. You're like, what's going to make the cut for this?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, who goes on a journey without a beginning or an end? Yeah. We're all going to a destination, so you have to try and map that out as best you can, and also have the the freedom and the versatility to be flexible for the audience. But mapping the way is
I know, of course.
Madness if you're not doing that, as far as I'm concerned. Just winging it. But the point being that in those moments, then it was so real and so visceral and so powerful to me that I was going to commit to it in a real way. Invest everything that I had in it. Took a part-time job in a fruit and vegetable shop. Worked there fucking day and night as long as I could for as much as I could.
And just to get what
invested
you
everything I could into becoming a DJ.
Well, so again, as I said, because there's so many avenues to being an artist and to I would say if you brought currently right up to now releasing, is it an LP?
Yeah, it's an album. Yeah, it's an album. It's a double album.
It's a double album, right? And I've seen it and I'll be honest, I wanted to go in and get it so you could come and sign it. but I'm a man of, I'm just like, if I pass her
No,
records, I'll
I
go
actually
in.
have a copy for you. I do.
Well,
So.
great, but I'm buying them and I'll hang it in the shop. But when I went to go to George Street Arcade, you were restocking it, and it's mad. And like, I think it's more so to support the art and to see it and the piece. And I love it. I don't buy records anymore, but I would love to support. And so I've bought some of your t-shirts, as you know.
That, brother. Of course,
I know you gifted me. You gifted me
yeah.
some and all, but I'm like, no, it's a gesture to someone that is trying to do something. But does Adam like so apart from trying to be a DJ, working in the fruit and veg, to cover your cost, your passion, is it a full-time thing? We don't have to speak about, I suppose, other professions or jobs you do, but is it your full-time gig now, or it's kind of like 50-50 part of your life?
It's 50-50. So
50-50, you have an income elsewhere.
So being an artist is a full-time job.
Of course, but it doesn't
pay full-time money. And that's the really sad reality of where we're at. And not just in Ireland, but I think that's internationally. It's really, really tough. Yeah. If you look at how artists are reimbursed on streaming platforms, particularly Spotify, it's, there's not an artist making a living off that.
Lennon telling me,
it's really, really tough.
So it's hard to be a full-time artist, but you have to, and it's the same as all of the even some guests I've had in here, they're the same. And I'm like, you just played to a couple of thousand people, and they're like, yeah, we got paid, but like that's one gig in festival season. Yeah. You got to think of the other 51 weekends of the year.
This is it.
So how do you do?
You break it down, honest to God. If you break it down,
it's a labor of love.
Yeah, on a 52 week year, most artists are working for below minimum wage. So the reality is, there is, show me an artist in Ireland. There is a few, but not many.
Them on the hand,
but not many that can afford to be full-time artists. The majority of artists in Ireland, in various disciplines, not just in music, have to have part-time or full-time jobs to allow them the freedom to invest in the stuff that they really care passionately about. So and that's heartbreaking.
Now, we know, because I think we bought prints from Mazer, from Atmos, from Aches, and like, I can't, like, I'd love to be able to get to the stage where I can afford a painting. And when I see the price of people's paintings, I get it. It's the value on their work. It's like, when I think of the body of work you've created and the artwork for the new album or any project you do, and it's like, I wish people would broaden their mind to that, but it's as I said, the harsh reality is you have to kind of have a side hustle. It's the same with me. It's like, I have to cut hair, like, as my full-time job, and dipping in and out of like trying to be a full-time DJ. You can do that. And here's a story to kind of go off, because years ago I was getting the commercial DJs to get back into DJing. I dipped out and I missed it. And I remember going, man, I'm really good. I remember DJing with Trev Radiator.
Oh, wow.
Back at his gaff at one set. And they're like, man, you're dead. He goes, and I used to DJ, like, what, you're the barber lad? And I'm like, no, I was playing electro at the time. Transmission was on. And of that time, I started to dip in and out of the party scene. I was like, Trainwreck was on. I go, this is cool. Dave DeValier was playing. All the promoters, and I was like, I need to get into. So I got into it because I was kind of into all music. I wasn't accredited for being house, or it was kind of like tech then, and I hadn't a clue. I was YouTube ripping, and I didn't know how to. But I actually knew how to play disco and like boogie from being friends with Dec Lennon. And I remember grafting was so hard, like, as well as trying to do the barbering and hairdressing thing before cutting. So, and I was like, oh my God, I'm playing Pig on a Sunday. And I was thinking, that is the best feeling on the and then I had to change to Serato. I don't know whose head I wrecked, probably
everyone's.
Everyone.
I think
we all messaged you and all.
I think we all wrecked each other's heads trying to figure Serato out for the first 6 months. Honestly, God, nobody had a clue what they were doing with Serato when it first came out.
And I remember thinking, like, okay, this isn't going to be full-time job. I'm getting like, I played in Joe Burger. Shout out to Joe Mackin.
Oh God,
70 quid cash, free chicken and food and beers. And I goes, that I was doing that, and I was thinking, man, this is hard. And especially if you're going out drinking and partying, as people did in their young age. But like, I was getting offered cheesy gigs or corporate gigs. And I was like, it's soul destroying for me. But I understand people have to do what they have to do. They all can't be really good. And it got quite hard for me. I remember I wanted to be a famous footballer. I wanted to be a famous snooker player. Or not even famous, but I wanted to be a footballer. I wanted to be a snooker player. And I wanted to be a DJ. And I definitely, when I think of all them things, that they're all in front of people. And I'm actually...
It's very interesting,
It's weird to think that my job is now, it's one-to-one. But it's kind of theatrical.
But then you have things like this and you as a person are quite open about who they are and what they do, and projecting that and showing that to the world, you know. So at some level, you are doing that, really.
No, well, yeah, it's different direction, but it wasn't mapped out, and it's funny that everything brings you to where you're meant to be.
Sure.
So then to try and bring us up to like Adam in his, I don't know what age, it doesn't really matter of the time, but like in your 20s right up to now. So you're doing these jobs, and then highs and lows. Like, have you had to have a creative change? Because obviously, when did MathMan come about, which is very important to talk about, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever told this story. Certainly not like
it's
openly.
Not openly documented. I don't think.
No, definitely not. This is probably the first time.
Exclusive.
Where is the air hole? I thought of all nights you were going to have it tonight. No. I should have brought it actually. Yeah, but I actually fell out of love with DJing for a large period of time, and it was down to a particular circumstance. I don't know if you remember Spirit nightclub.
I do remember Spirit.
So,
yes, Wigwam now or Traffic. Yeah, so Spirit was the Academy. Sorry,
correct. Yeah. Well, no, very close. Very close.
Next door.
Yeah. So there was a national search. I was 18 or 19 years of age, and I'm at the height of my passion and love for DJing.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty good at this point, you know. But I was 18 or 19. We all thought we were the best DJ on the planet at that time. But in my head, I actually thought that I was the best of the best.
Yeah, you'd pass a lie detector test.
Yeah. I certainly would. In my own head anyway.
Yeah.
But Spirit did a national search to find their next resident DJ. Yeah.
I think that might be in the back of my head somewhere.
You might have entered even. Who knows? But so what happened was I
had to make a mix or something.
That's right. Yeah, you had to make a mix, and you descended in for evaluation. So
I probably missed it, but I wonder what format it was. It would be CD or Discman.
Oh, CD. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. So, I know. I remember I sent the CD to the guys anyway.
I'd love to hear that. I wonder.
Yeah, I might actually have a copy like at home, like in my mum and dad's house, like somewhere.
Yeah.
But long story shorter. Anyway, sent the CD in, didn't hear anything back. A couple of months went by, fine, didn't get it, it's whatever. Move on to the next thing. But I went into Abbey Discs one day, and Tara turns around to me and says, Adam, what's your second name? And I'm like, Fogarty. She goes, no, it's not fucking you, so. I was like, what? She goes, Spirit have been looking for an Adam Oro for the last fucking 2 months or something. And I was like, all right. It was like, what happened? He's the DJ that Spirit want as our next resident DJ. I was like, oh, fucking hell. There's another Adam out there that entered this. I was like, bollocks, fuck that anyway. And they had this poster behind the wall of...
In Abbey Discs.
Yeah, of the signature that the DJ had on the CD. And it was my signature. But I had written Adam F. The F, I had two kind of dots.
Like Adam O-R.
So the two dots on the either side of the F, and the way I had it squiggled, it looked like Oro. It looked like Adam Oro. I was like, that's my signature. She goes, that's yours? I thought you said your name was Adam Fogarty. I said, that's how I wrote it. And she goes, well, they're fucking looking for you. And I was like, what? Man. I was freaked out. I couldn't believe it.
I'd say that feeling.
But that day, I get a phone call from a mate of mine going, have you read the newspaper?
No.
And I was like, no. He said, Mr. Spring had a column in the Star or something.
Yeah, Mark Havner.
And I said, blah, blah, blah. Spirit have been looking for a DJ called Adam for the last 2 months. They can't find him. If you're out there, ring this number. And my mate rang me, he goes, this could be you. And I was like, you never guess what happened. I'm after coming out of Abbey Discs, and Tara is after telling me that it could be you that they're looking for. I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to ring that number. So this was, landline days.
Yeah, back in the nanny's bottom of the stairs.
Back in my man's got, man, can I make a phone call?
Yeah, please.
Leave the 80 cent, whatever. So ring them, couldn't get through. Later on that evening, it opens up. Somebody answers the phone, and they're like, I don't know, I work behind the bar. I'll get somebody to ring you back. Long story short, manager of the venue rang me back and said, you've no idea how long we've been looking for you. The CD that you sent us was absolutely fucking incredible. Blah, blah, blah. Robbie is dying to meet you. So Robbie Wotton was the owner of Spirit Nightclub at the time. And he says he wants to see you tonight. Come in, bring as many people as you want. and we'll make the introduction. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah, like this is mind blowing to me.
And Spirit was like the club.
It was the spot.
Yeah,
it was the height
DJ.
of super club era around the world, yet
Yeah.
this was our kind of version of it.
Was the DJ box in the corner?
No, it was in the bubble.
It was in the bubble, yeah, the egg I was going to call it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
in the middle of the stage, it was to the side, if
That's
I remember.
right, yeah.
I remember, I know people used to host upstairs in the VIP section.
That's right, it was Hazel Canesworn, or was it...
I know a girl, Jo, that worked there just to host.
She was in a band, I think. I think she was in that band, Dove. She was the hostess anyway. So that was the girl that met us that night when we came in. So
you were VIP?
Yeah, we went in that night like fucking, 10 lads from Clondalkin with the best Ben chairmans on that night. And we went in. And so we're there anyway. And she comes over, I'll be your host tonight, looking after you. So everybody got taken. This was the time when Spira had the massage and the head treatments and all that type of stuff down in the basement. There was a complete body and soul area.
This is meant for the
it was the spot. So anyway, go in and she goes, look, I look after all the lads here. You have to come up and meet Robbie. So Robbie's up this like back steps all the way up to the top. And he's in a room there and he has this little window that looks out over the whole club.
So like above the stage
kind
of thing?
Above the whole lot. It was savage looking. It was on some Pablo Escobar type of fucking vibe.
Yeah.
So I walk in and he's in there with Liam Cunningham, the actor.
Yeah, legend.
Great guy.
I know he was,
great
Game
guy.
of Thrones, all that.
So he's sitting there.
He's a bit of a party animal. He's just being in all the spots.
Does he?
Lilies and all, like very late night spots. I won't say too much.
Okay, this is the first time and the only time that I've met this fella, but he was absolutely sound. But anyway, go in, meet your man Robbie. Robbie's in his sleeveless shirt with a picture of Jesus on the front.
I know the type.
Long blonde hair, and I'm like, this fella is, he's on like this. He's about it,
Yeah.
So anyway, go in, meet him. What's the story? I said, you're the guy. I'm like,
it's a headhunt for Adam Morrow.
Yeah, Adam Morrow. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think so. And well, tell me if it is you. So he puts the CD in, and it starts up, and I was like, yeah, that's me. And Cunningham turns around, this is the third time we've been listening to this mix. It's fucking deadly. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But I'm gassed up at this point. I'm absolutely delighted. So takes me on a tour of the club. The club has elevators in the fucking secret areas, the whole lot, that get the full tour. He's like, listen, you are exactly what this club needs. You're the future. He said, here's my plan. He goes, I'm about to open Spirit Nightclub Buenos Aires, and I'm about to buy Twilo in New York, which was the big progressive house and house club in New York. Sasha, Digweed, all that type of stuff was happening there. And he said, you're going to be the face of this for me globally. Wow. And I'm going, what? Like,
how old are you then? Like
18, 19 max, I'd say. And I couldn't believe it. And so he's giving me the whole thing. This is happening in 3 months' time. This is happening in 6 months' time. Blah, 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 blah. He said, your first set will be here next Saturday night. You'll be the resident here, opening for all the biggest names that come through
Cox,
here.
David Morales, whoever
was coming through.
Whoever, all of them.
The lot.
The resident DJ was actually very well respected and like massively.
That was it was quintessential to the quality of the club and setting the environment and the ambience for what was about to happen.
The spirit
with the headline DJ.
Place, yeah.
So anyway, that all happens. Go out, meet the lads. You'll never guess what's after happening. You have to tell me all this. Whoa. I thought my life was about to change, right?
Yeah.
I lasted 3 months in the job. So for the next 3 months, I was opening for all the biggest names that were coming through. I was having the time of my life. Yeah. But what was happening behind the scenes, I don't know the full story behind this, but things were starting to slip, and the great plans that were originally set out for the club were starting to become no longer a reality.
Yeah.
And so after about 3 months, I got moved from the Saturday night to the Friday night. Then maybe a couple of weeks later, it was Thursday night for the students. And then next of all, no phone calls about being the resident DJ in the club anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I remember ringing Robbie a few times, and he's like, look, I'm in here at some big management meetings. Things are changing in here. I think it's going to be out of my hands to make the bigger decisions on who the DJs are in this club anymore.
Oh, which is so
And I was
trying.
like, oh my God. But at that moment, having had it, what I felt was in the palm of my hand, for something, the break I was always looking for. Because you'll know as well as I do, at that time, to get a gig in a club was almost impossible because it was quite close-knit and it was kind of...
It was the dream. Like, it's unbelievable, really. Do you remember a guy called Niall Dunn? Niall Dunn won a CD, so. Right? You'd know I don't know where he's from, but like, I was childhood friends, but he won a really famous mix online. This guy playing like more techno-y stuff. Okay. And he played like...
I do know Niall Dunn. Me and Niall Dunn went to...
small, good-looking guy.
Yeah, we went to Temple Bar Music Centre to produce music together, actually. I remember him. Yeah. Lovely lad. He's a great guy, actually.
We were like, how can we get gigs? I remember there was no gigs to get, and then Dan Mack, we would have played 1 or 2 gigs. I can't even think what my first gig was in town, but it was so hard to get into a club. And when we were going to cheesy places, to go to Red Box, I went to the Temple Theatre once, but it was for like a McDonald's private event, but it wasn't an actual Temple Theatre gig or the Crypt or whatever. But it's so, when you're in your bedroom in Clondalkin or when I was in Bray, to think of yourself being in there or in the vaults. I think I did a gig in the vaults with one Serato. I remember bringing one turntable and you could loop.
Yeah,
you
that's
one
right.
turntable, so you could play it, bring it over and mix it in. I carried the turntable on the 145 into town, like in a bag, in like a big tote bag. And I actually said to you, I'll pay you if I can play the gig. And they'd be like, no, don't worry, I'll give you 4 cans of Praski or something. But to get them gigs, to bring it up to your thing, I was like, to get them gigs were like, you were like going into Abbey Discs and like your name on the poster and see it. Yeah, I know. It's so you basically, I ended up trying to do that and I had to have this continue the full-time career and do it. But by you having that, it turned you off? It
did, yeah. It really put a sour taste in my mouth and it broke my heart more so than anything, actually. It was like, it was there, the promises that were made, and then it just evaporated before my eyes. And no, like, it was nothing that I did wrong myself. Like, I was still the same competent and, good DJ that I always was, and was getting better, learning how to read rooms, big rooms like that, etc., etc. But it really hurt me. And it was my first introduction to how fickle the world of music and entertainment can be. You can be hot,
not disposable, but very hot.
No. Disposable is exactly the word. You can be hot for a very short amount of time and things can change. And if you don't fit with that plan anymore, you're gone. So there's no actual relationship there. And I would hold myself as a type of person that has a lot of integrity and values real and authentic and honest relationships. And that was kind of my first experience with something that wasn't. It was kind of very transient and very, well, we'll use you for this now. And when it's not working anymore, you're gone. And that hurt.
I feel a little bit, and it's very credible because EP has just happened and I'm going to talk about it. And I've had glimpses of the old days. I'll say I've I've done some gigs. I've played last, but I've done way more gigs playing to nobody. And I was happy to do them. Forbidden Fruit. I've had the worst and best gig of my life, I think, Forbidden Fruit. I've done EP and I haven't had, Adam Fogarty, the first DJ. They didn't even put my name up, I just wanted a photo of Shawnee B there.
Yeah.
And then other ones, and it's, I know the feeling when your name gets booked. I'm like, man, I'm going to rock the place. As you said, we all think we're the best DJ. I don't know if that's a competitiveness.
No, it is.
I'm going to whip out this little edit and like people are going to go mad. And I love seeing that. And there's a little bit of sadness in me when I'm like, I see people getting booked. Not to be bitter, but I'm like, I could do it better than them. And I would be like, it's very political. I'm like, man, I'm not hot. Because now that I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to get booked to play EP or Forbidden Fruit again or all together now. But I'm not in that world, and it takes a lot of energy, and you have to network, and it's like, you have to have a full-time job, and then you have to hustle full-time, and it's tough. But a little bit of me gets, I understand that we're like, you can be 1 year playing Electric Picnic or any festival or gig, and the next year like, crap, I'm not, and I don't want to fall off. But to bring it up to yourself for the last couple of minutes, I can't believe how quick it's gone. But with MathMan, sorry. So what is the idea, or what if people were to be like, do you know MathMan? Like, what would you like people to kind of say? This is what I'm about, or what the project is about.
Sure.
Or is it it's you?
The thing I always come back to for anything that I do or I give myself to, I have this idea of love and legacy. That's what the two things that drive most of the things, if not all of the things that I do. I have to love it, and it should contribute in some way to a legacy.
Okay.
And whether that legacy is for me or for the wider community to what I'm contributing to, they're the two most important things. So anything that I commit myself to artistically or even personally, that has to have love and legacy within that. So
it's very powerful.
Yeah, and I find most people would say that I'm a serious person, and I know that I'm a serious person, and I apply myself in a serious way. But these are the things that I care about.
Yeah, I would know that you're a very loving guy. That's like, you're very welcoming, big smile, but you're to anyone I've been in the room and introduced yourself, it's love, it's hug, it's whatever. It's probably more so hugs, and like the same way you're coming in. It's I don't know. I'd say you're a very hard worker behind the scenes, and you dig deep. And I imagine from the productions and stuff, that from other people who are music producers, they're like, man, the production on this is next level. And my own self, having some of the tunes and listening to them on Spotify, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? This is like on some next level. It's a million miles away from the animators or other projects that you've done. And I'm like, you know, but again, what exactly like is MathMan? Because if I see you at the Rave in the Woods, or if I see you at C Sessions, are you going to get a different thing? You know, it's not like disco, house and boogie. Is it going to be like X, Y, and Z type music and genre and BPM, or a mix of your own stuff, or what would you like people to kind of be like, you know what, I'm MathMan?
Well, weapon of choice, as we kind of discussed briefly earlier on, was built around the idea of the competitiveness that DJs have. We all want to have that one-upmanship with, this record is going to fucking ruin that dance floor, and he doesn't have it or she doesn't have it, you know? So these are my weapons of choice. It's our kind of ammunition for a dance floor. Yeah. But the world that I live in terms of the music that I love and the music that I create and play is bass music. So it's anything that lives within the space of jungle, drum and bass, garage, grime. So that's the music that I love. That's the music that I produce, and that's the music that I play. So depending on the environment, the time, or the festival, I will curate something within the bass music space, and I might actually run the gamut of all of those from 135 to 175. Okay. But depending on the audience, who's ready? Yeah. So it all depends on. So like I would have played what's it called? Beyond the Pale this year, right? I was playing at like 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm not running rhythms at 175 BPM at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, because you got to be. You just want to play jams, I'm going to play something that's rolling around the 135, 140 BPM range. Get people moving, get that energy back up for the day ahead. But then I played the Rave in the Woods on Friday night, and it was 175 BPM for an hour and a half. So that's the world that I live in. I think okay, so if you see MathMan, you know what to expect. You expect bass music, somehow, some way, and in one style or another. That's what I do. That's what I love, and I hope that I'm a good ambassador for that in the country. Amazing. Well, you are, and I have two more questions. And even if the video runs out, we're going to keep the Spotify going. Well, there is. I always ask every guest, does dangerous when focused mean anything to you? Or obviously, if you follow me or mute me on Instagram, if I'm wrecking everyone's timeline, I'd like to know your thoughts on that in a second. What does dangerous when focused mean to you? Or like, that's kind of my mantra. Like the more focused I get, the more dangerous I get. We've recently, since I stopped taking drugs, I've opened up 2 new shops. Everything in my life is going in a much more positive, direct way, and it's making me be the person I am. So when I focus, I'm a dangerous man, right? Yeah. And then I was thinking of this on the way of questions. It's probably very hard, but I don't think 3 of your favorite tunes, but 3 maybe artists that you would say have inspired you or that come to mind. Because in my head, I've 1,000. But is there anyone that you would be like, really might have changed the way for you, the game, or someone in your industry, like someone in the bass genre, say this person paved the way? Yeah. I don't know, like Beanie Man or Chase the Status. Yeah. Is there like 1 to 3 artists that might be like, you know what, if you want to get to know a bit of what I'm about,
check out these 3 artists.
100%, yeah. Well, all right. So your first question in terms of dangerous when focused.
Leave that till the end. I'm going to let you...
Okay.
I'm going to keep it rolling.
All right,
ready. Who's ready?
I don't know what you asked me first then.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to put that in case you didn't know that I asked you.
Gotcha. Okay, right, cool.
Planting the seed.
Very nice. Well, you mentioned one of the artists for me already that it is absolutely a game changer for the music that I love, the music that I write, and I would really look up to, and that's certainly Chasing Status.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, I took a stab in the dark.
No.
There.
Like nailed it. Like nail on the head.
I just would think similarly to music and to influence. So
yeah. Okay. Legacy wise, I mean, they've done some incredible things for UK based music. They had their first number 1 last week with Stormzy. They're just phenomenal producers and great DJs. Goldie.
Oh wow, yeah, totally. What a legend.
Yeah, for lots
still
of
doing the
reasons.
rounds, but as a legacy, loving legacy,
yeah, totally. What Goldie proved to us in a genre that was so new with drum and bass and jungle at the time, there was a lot of fusion and a lot of transition happening at that time. Goldie showed us that you can be an artist in the jungle and drum and bass space that is a little bit left leaning as well, and it doesn't all have to be dance floor orientated.
Okay,
which is an amazing thing. And I took a lot of that inspiration for the SK83 album as well, and made that an artist album and not just dance floor orientated. I think the last one would be a group called Uncle. It was called a group called Uncle that was DJ Shadow and James Lavelle. Okay. When they got together as a group, they made some absolutely phenomenal albums over the years.
I know DJ Shadow, of course, but James Lavelle. No.
Yeah.
No, I probably might know the body of work. But.
Yeah, you would. And they what they proved is that art can live for a musician in many different spaces, because they brought the world of graffiti very close to what they did. I'm actually wearing one of the artists tonight. His name is Futura.
Oh, I know, 2000.
Yeah, Futura. So Futura would have designed all of their artwork and merchandise and stuff like that. But they made some absolutely incredible music over the years. So
okay.
Those 3 groups.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Chasing Status, Goldie, and then Uncle. Yeah, which is James Lavelle and
Shadow.
Wow, what an album. The DJ Shadow I got gifted at years ago.
Introducing.
And I seen him in the RDS years ago. Okay, so lastly, the last question, if you have time to think about the big one is, what does dangerous when focused mean to you, if anything?
I tell you what, whether you choose to use the words dangerous when focused or any other words that describe what it is that you're trying to get across, I think there's huge value in it. Locking into something or focusing on something and committing yourself to that. And doing that in the right way and doing that in an authentic way, there's nobody that won't see benefits from that. So to focus on something and commit yourself to and give yourself to something for a particular outcome is really, really valuable. It's when you reach that destination and then you move on to another destination, that keeps going and it keeps going. It's great satisfaction in that. And I think anybody could really find a lot of value in focusing on something or committing to something in their life. Okay. So I think anybody can be dangerous when they're focused, and that's the truth.
I love it. Amazing. Adam, MathMan. Listen, we're going to link everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It was an absolute pleasure. I can't wait for everyone to listen to it.
Thanks for having me, man. I wouldn't do this for anybody but you. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. It's been my pleasure.
Cheers,
Thank you very much, guys.